Hello and welcome to Insanity XD. I am your sweet sounding host speaking. Remember, if you do not hear me, then it is simply not official. Coming at you with a bit of a different kind of video today, we have a review on the 2012 film The Master. I actually watched this bad boy a week ago, so while it's still fresh in my mind, I thought I'd tell you guys about it, as we do aim to cover the lesser known topics of this world, right? Kicking things off, The Master is a 2012 American psychological drama written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. I think this is the same guy who made Let There Be Blood, which is amazing. We're going to do a video on that in a while. I highly recommend picking that up as well, but it can be a bit dry at times. The film stars Joaquin Phoenix, Philip Seymour Hoffman, and Amy Adams. Joaquin Phoenix was the Joker, Amy Adams was Superman's girlfriend, and for Seymour Hoffman, I'm really sorry to do this guy dirty, but I don't really recall where he's from. He's just one of those familiar actors, and he's a good actor at that. The film was produced by Annapurna Pictures and Gahaldi Film Company and was distributed by the Weinstein Company. The film's inspirations are a bit varied. Some say that it was inspired by Scientology, others say that it was the early drafts of Let There Be Blood that inspired it, but in my personal opinion, I think it was the drunken naval stories that Jason Robards had told to Anderson while he was terminally ill while filming Magnolia. The life story of author John Steinbeck also did play a small part in it. The Master was shot entirely on 65mm film stock, making it the first feature film, try saying that 5 times fast, to be shot and released in 7mm since Hamlet in 1966. The film was picked up by Universal Pictures, but they kind of dropped it and fell through due to script and budget problems. It was released in theaters in the United States on on September the 14th, 2012, where it received a lot of praise. It's actually considered to be one of Anderson's finest works, and it received 3 Oscar nominations: Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, and Best Supporting Actress. In 2006, it was actually voted to be one of the 24th best films of the 21st century out of 175. The Master is definitely the favorite film Anderson has made. He said this personally, so you can expect a lot of love to be put into this. All right, so into the meat and potatoes. Freddie Quell is basically this World War II veteran. It opens off with him on the beach, basically making sandcastles and giving advice on how to get rid of crabs. It then cuts to him basically being on top of the boat, having stuff being thrown at him by his fellow workmates, and then it cuts to him working as a photographer in basically a department store. From the get-go, it's key to note that Freddie is, he's a bit odd. He's erratic and violent, you could say, but he's managed to keep it under wraps for now. While in the department store, he gets into a fight with this guy while he's trying to take his photo. He makes excuses like, oh, well, you see the lamp needs to be a bit closer to you. And the guy's like, it's too hot, man. What are you playing at? And then they basically get into a fight. Also, keynote, the fights in this film are actually pretty, they're pretty well done. They're not don't be expecting backy, but they're good. The fights are actually quite good, I find. So it's after he gets fired from his job that he decides to basically work on a farm in California with these, and it's I'm stuttering a bit, sorry. It's a primarily Asian-based community, and Freddie's fitting in quite fine. He's chilling, drinking moonshine with an elderly man. Unfortunately, this guy bites off a bit more than he can chew, and he basically dies, and Freddy's accused of basically poisoning him. I remember very distinctly the lady was like, poison, you are poisoning him. He's like, I didn't poison him, what are you talking about? And he tries to, okay, that's not how he speaks, I'm very sorry if I've offended anyone, but yeah, there's this nice shot of him escaping through a dark tunnel and then running out onto the field, but that's not my favorite shot in the film. We'll get into that soon enough. So Freddy's basically wandering San Francisco, and it's when he stumbles upon the yacht of the Lancaster Dodd that he basically finds his true cause in life. Funnily enough, the actual cause they work for is called the cause. When Freddy basically wakes up, he's taken to meet Lancaster Dodd, the leader of the boat. I actually said the boat was called the Lancaster Dodd. I don't know what the boat was called. I'm very sorry. Berate me down below if you find out. When Dodd meets Freddy, he basically says, you're drunk, you're basically kind of useless, and you smell. It doesn't say that. But he does say that Freddy's moonshine is top tier, and it's so top tier that he sampled all of it. And as long as Freddy can make the moonshine, he's got a place aboard the boat. Now, Dodd actually begins a little exercise with Freddy, not the type of reading exercise you had in school, but the type of cult exercise you'd expect from this movie. He starts processing Freddy. He asks him a flurry of like disturbing psychological questions I can't bring out on this tape, but one of them involves a family member, so use your imagination for that. It's very well done how Joaquin Phoenix portrays himself in this scene, as it was one of the scenes that hooked me onto this film and reminded me that it's definitely worth watching. I won't spoil too much, but it's the way he basically smacks himself in this scene and portrays the feeling of frustration and anguish, which is so realistic. I've seen it so many times that honestly, when I saw it in this, I thought, I can see why this guy was the Joker. Like our boy Ban, Freddy has interesting taste in his women. He basically is in love with this 16-year-old girl called Doris, and he promised that one day he returned to her. Freddy starts traveling with the Dodd family as they spread the teachers of the cause along the East Coast. He's actually invited to a dinner party at one point, very high profile for a guy like Freddy. He'd actually get him a nice suit and tie, which I find to be quite cute. You know, they're really taking care of him as if he was a family member. At a dinner party in New York, basically Lancaster Dodd starts doing some of the teaching things. It's like how a therapist would do it. He has you like lie on a bed and you basically try to reach into the inner aspects of your mind and like find out your past carnations. Not like the Hindu reincarnations. I mean, this guy's into like a whole different aspect of reincarnation. And then this guy's like, you see, I've seen these methods before in cults. And I don't know why you're doing it. And then the guy beautifully says, if you know the answer to a question, why are you answering it then? Sorry. If you know an answer to a question, why are you asking it then, you pig? And I just find that really nice to see in a film, because normally with these cult films, the leader has to always portray himself as, you know, upbeat, charismatic, and never angry. But Lancaster Dodd's outrage bursts are really funny and really realistic to see sometimes. So basically, Dodd throws him out and asks him to leave. Freddy and I don't know the name of the actor that plays the character. I'll throw a photo. He's called Rami something. It's really bad. I don't know this. I'm sorry. And they basically pursue him to his hotel and lay and throw down hands on him. Like honestly, you don't see the fight, but you can hear it, and they're going off. It's in a hotel as well, so you know that the people next door are thinking, "Oh God, what's going?" Like they probably thought it was a nice hotel, and then they hear that and they think like they're in the Bronx or something. Basically, Freddy comes back and tells Dodd what he did, and he's like, "Oh, you naughty boy, you silly, silly boy, what animalistic behavior." That's I don't know why it's never really explained, but the term animal and animalistic is used quite a lot in this film to sort of denote a bad action. It kind of reminds me of the lesser and higher pleasures in philosophy, but we'll get into that some other time. Basically, these feds show up to arrest Dodd at the house, and they basically say, listen, you've been practicing kind of without a proper qualification or license, and you just need to come with us. So Freddy is like, you know what? Now, this is where I have to rate Freddy, right? Freddy is the type of boy you would want in your life. He hears Dodd's getting thrown out, and he just starts scrapping with he starts scrapping with every officer in a 2-second radius of him. Like, this guy starts throwing hands, even when the cuffs are on him. Dodd is like, no, don't hurt my boy, don't hurt him. And he's like, Freddy, keep doing it. Like, his body language kind of says that. It's not explicitly said, it's kind of implicit. You have to forgive these stutters, guys. I kind of do it when I talk about something I like. So while in jail, Freddy has this amazing nervous breakdown. He smashes a toilet, he ends up like yelling and screaming, and it's in this moment that Dodd confides in Freddy that he's pretty much the only person who likes him, which Freddy takes pretty well. Like, I actually expected him to be like, oh, I'm leaving, but he's like, whatever. In the court trial, Dodd is found guilty of his crimes. He has to basically pay, I think it's like 10 grand or so. No, it was 1,600 it was something. He has to pay it back. So they go back to the house, and upon their release, they become a bit suspicious of Freddy, mainly his daughter and this other blonde girl. I forget her name, but she's like, oh, I think he likes me. And Amy's just like, Amy Adams is straight up like, yeah, Freddy's weird, man. I think he's a spy. We need to get rid of him. Like, what spy? Seriously, think about it. This is what always gets me about these cults sometimes. Like, they're so paranoid about people, like, coming in and finding the secrets and leaving. Why would you want to be there in the first place? Oh my God, it's like, no, Freddy's just Freddy. Leave him be, man, leave him be. So Dodd basically is like, oh, Freddy's my boy, man. What are you playing at? Get out of here, get out of here. If we don't help Freddy, it's us ourselves who have failed him. And everyone's like, all right, cool. So the next day they basically start these even weirder like not experiments, like these even weirder exercises on Freddy. They have him like close his eyes and walk from a wall to the window and describe what he's seen each and every time. And it gets frustrating. He actually punches a hole. I think he punched a hole in the wooden wall. And the way they correct this, if they have him stand like covering it, so the audience doesn't see it. And then there's another part where it's like Amy Adams is like reading her fan fictions out. And even he says he's like, I don't want you to read this. Why are you still reading this? And she's like, just let me read it. You can tell this girl wrote it in her spare time. Oh, also, key thing to note, there is this one scene where Amy Adams convinces the master basically to stop drinking in a very unconventional fashion, but we'll roll with that. So basically Dodd's releasing a book and he needs to get his hidden files. I'm sorry, the original works. And Amy Adams actually, I keep calling her Amy Adams. I need to actually find out the character's name. But I know this actor just from The Girl and Superman, and I can't call her that. So basically they find the hidden works in the desert, and Dodd like looks around a bit before he goes with Freddy, and I think in this mind it clarifies to him that Freddy is not a spy. He's actually just his boy, which is good for Freddy. And Freddy uses his photography skills to take some really nice pictures for the books. And it was kind of heartwarming to see this, in my opinion, because for the first time in Freddy's life, I think he's believed to find a place in which he belongs and that he's somewhat respected. There is this one scene which I found to drag on, which I didn't really like, in which Rami basically insults Freddy for over a minute, says some really awful things, and all Freddy does is like laugh, and then he says, "What did you do? I killed Japs. I fought in the wall. What did you do?" And that's like his only comeback, but it's a bit sad for me because this guy really did try his best to contribute in the way he could, but he doesn't understand his own self at times. So while he's at the book release thing, it's like this really like they start handing out papers on the streets as well, trying to promote it. But it's when they're in the meeting that things start like going astray. Lancaster Dodd actually edited his works. I forgot what it's called. I think it's just like something a gift to Homo sapien. And he gets approached by this lady. I think her one of her biggest roles. She was in Jurassic Park. I'll just put a photo of her up now. And she's just like, I read your book and you changed. Can we recall to can you imagine? And that changes the whole aspect of the thing. And the guy, like, he tries to defend it like he's been caught out cheating. He's like, oh, well, you see, I had to adjust it for the new age. And she's like, but he's like, well, what do you want, Helen? And then she's like, damn. Like, damn, it got me acting up. Not literally. So then Freddy also bumps into this guy from New York who he recognizes, and he's like, you came out all the way from New York to be here? And he's like, yeah, I just wanted to see what it was about. And he's like, what did you think? And this is so beautifully done, I had to chuckle. He's like, this entire book could be put into a 3-page pamphlet and I'd pass out on the subway. And I actually laughed at that. I thought, yeah, that's what I do as well, man. So then Freddy's, it's so beautiful because Freddy is basically I don't know why I didn't say this earlier, Freddy is basically the foot soldier for this cult. Seriously, it's so funny how he's like, can you just come with me for a second? And he's like, yeah. Yeah, and they go out the back doors, and then he just starts smacking him. Like, of course, the actor's kind of a full-out fist fight, so I guess this is like the closest we're gonna see to a full-out scrap. He just starts smacking him on the corner of the street, calmly sits down, collects his thoughts, and then picks up a plate and returns. Honestly, this is my second favorite scene in the film. Oh my god, this is the best scene. We're covering it right now. So the next day, Lancaster Dodd is like, we're gonna do a point break exercise in which we have to drive to the furthest point we can find, and then we have to drive back. So it's this really, really beautiful stretch of desert, right? He gets on this roadster motorcycle and he goes off. Listen, I wish I was this actor for this scene because I would have just not come back. I would have quit that day. Yeah, so Lancaster Dodd comes back. Meanwhile, Amy's like cheering, and this is my favorite scene just for those two aspects. You know, Dodd driving manically, Amy cheering, trying to encourage her father to do things, sort of resembles their relationship. He comes back and he's like, all right, Freddy, where do you want to go? Freddy's like, that head over there, those mountains, the crocodile head, very good, off you go. And then off Freddy goes and he doesn't come back. He's straight up dusted and done. He's gone to Texas. No, he's not gone to Texas. I'm thinking of Doris. I'm thinking of Dorothy. Red red slipper shoes, that girl. Anyway, so he goes to Massachusetts to find Doris, and the mum pulls up. Like, she opens the door. She's like, "What are you doing here? You're late. You're 3 years late. What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I traveled halfway across the world. Where's Doris?" And she's like, "Listen, man, Doris is married." He's like, "Oh, she's got 2 kids." He's like, "Oh, she's been married for 3 years." He's like, "Oh, like he has a." Sorry, I almost swore there. We cannot swear. He has like a blooming heart attack on the steps, and then he's like, "All right, well, are the kids like boys or girls?" And she's like, "Boys." And she's like, "But she did wait for you. She did wait," which is so typical. Like, I honestly expected someone to say that, like to take a stab at him, if not her, then the dad. I was like, half expecting the dad to come up and like, "What's going on here?" But then she's like, "Oh, he's at work." He's like, "Oh, well, when he comes back, tell him I said hi." Like, imagine you get home from work and your wife is like, "Oh, our daughter's ex-boyfriend showed up and he just wanted you to know he said hi." I'm like, "Huh?" Whatever, man. It's really funny because Freddy starts zoning out. Like, I feel like he's coming to terms with what's happened, but at the same time, he doesn't want to come to terms with what's happened. So he starts zoning out, and then she's like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Who said I was going?" And he's like, "Oh no, you can come in." And he's like, "No, I'm going." It's like, "Huh?" So he gets on the motorcycle and he basically goes off to a cinema because Dorothy shared the same name of an actress who was in the film, but it's not her. So I guess he's watching the film to like reconcile or, just come to terms with it. And then guess who comes in? It's like this guy with a flashlight. I forget what you call them. I think they're like stewards or something at the cinema. And he hands him a telephone and he says, "There's a call for you." And it's Lancaster Dodd. And this is like Dodd, the way Dodd says it is like it's one of the biggest plot holes for me. How did he find him? Literally, it's the first thing Freddy says. "How did you find me?" And I'm thinking, how did he find him? Sorry. And he's just basically like, "Oh, we're tied to each other, Freddy. Yeah." And he's like, "Well, how did you find me?" He's like, "Listen, man." He's like, "Just come to England, yeah?" And I was like, "No, no, 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 no." Because in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't want this cult anywhere near England, right? Just stay in America. But then the second part of me was like, okay, I kind of want to see some, scenes on my home turf. So Freddie's like, "I'll come to England, yeah? I'll come to England, yeah?" And he's like, "Listen, yeah, bring them calls for me when you do, boy." And he's like, "Okay, okay, okay, okay." So then Freddie gets off the plane and there's no one waiting for him. He just straight up goes to the cult setting. Really beautiful, by the way. It's like your traditional boarding school setting. And Lancaster Dodd spills the beans. He's like, "Listen, man, in a previous life, I knew you. We used to tie letters to airships and we only ever missed 2." And Freddy's just like, "Yeah, you know what? Yeah, yeah." And then Dodd's like, "All right, Freddy, one last chance. Do you want to chill here with me or do you want to be broke? If you leave, you're going to be..." I am so sorry, guys. So sorry. "If you leave, you're going to be my enemy in another life." And he's like, I think I'm going to stay. No, I'm going to go. Bye." And then he sings this song to him. He's like, let me see if I can sing it quickly to you guys. Keep in mind, I'm not a singer, I'm a rapper. So he's like, "Oh, da, 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 on a slow boat to China." And then Freddy just starts crying. Like, he's like, "Okay, I'm out of here." So then Freddy goes to a pub, which I guess you're going to do in England because we have like over a gazillion pubs. And he finds this blonde lady, I forget her name. And then he basically starts repeating the same questions that Lancaster Dodd first repeated to him. And then it ends with the scene of Freddy on the beach, which the film started with in the first place. Now, here's the thing with this film, right? The appeal of it, in my opinion, comes from the storyline. It's one of those films where it's psychological thriller, purely psychological thriller. It has you wondering what exactly is happening and for what purpose is it happening. The portrayal of Freddy Quell by Joaquin Phoenix is honestly Oscar award-winning worthy, in my opinion. But as we all know, Joaquin gets his first Oscar for Joker. The only downside of this film, like with many of the downsides of the content we cover on this channel, is that it contains a highly rampant use of nudity. So this is one for private viewing, in my opinion. You can't whip this one out when Granny and Grandpa are around. Overall, if I was to rate this film out of 10, I would give it a 7.5. I guess that's it, actually. Pick this guy up on Netflix if you're looking for a casual 2-hour-long psychological watching. Once again, if you have a complaint you wish to be known, an opinion you wish to be heard, and an idea you wish to be seen, please comment down below. I have been your sweet sounding host speaking, and it has been an honor for you to watch this video today from me.